What's going on, good people? Rich here, back at it again with another episode of the Culture Garden Podcast. Technically, the best episode ever, sponsored by the Culture Garden Podcast. But we are back again, not by myself, obviously with the good brother Spike Lou, Chaz L Boogie Tao. What's going on,
Yes,
fellas? How y'all
sir.
feeling?
Feeling good, feeling great. How are you?
What's going on? What it do?
Hey man, listen, we made it, nigga. We made it. We made it to the end, man. We at the finale. We have gone through 96 episodes of HBO's original series Entourage, celebrating its 20th anniversary of the premiere season. We have discussed each and every season wonderfully, if I say so myself. Very entertaining episodes, I think, especially as we move further into the series and we found our groove recording with each other. It's become a very natural, fun thing to do. We've been getting a lot of good feedback about it. How are y'all feeling about reaching the finale episode? Because the one thing that I have on y'all, this is only the second best episode ever, but I did the first one. I was a part of the first one. The finale is a little bit different because you really sitting there like, all right, I gotta figure this shit out. I really gotta pick one. And not only do I have to pick one, we have to have a conversation and collectively agree what this best episode is going to be. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I enjoyed it when we did Martin. I'm looking forward to doing it with y'all. How do y'all feel about getting to this finale episode?
Feels good to be wrapping it up, man. Like it's always like leaving the world. We said this on the last episode. It's like you get accustomed to these people, they become your friends over these seasons, and then you're gonna stop watching it. I almost make you want to rewatch it again immediately. But I'm happy to see. I'm happy to be where we are, and I'm eager to see what's gonna come out. Like what's gonna be the number one.
Yep, me too. You and me both. Because I'm still not 100. I've nailed. Well, we'll talk about it. Bug, what about you? How you feeling?
I mean, I feel the same way. I'm eager to close this chapter, but I do feel attached. I feel like I caught back up with my boys from high school or something. When I rewatched this. So but I am eager to get to the next chapter and close this one. So
it's a fun world. It's really a fun world to be in. I will say that. Before we go any further, I want to thank y'all again for checking us out, tuning in, watching or listening to these episodes as we covered the series. We can't do this without you, so we definitely appreciate it. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, tell a friend and tell a friend if you know anybody who enjoys Entourage or just good television. Tell them to tap into the podcast. We're going to have some more news at the end of this episode. But yeah, just make sure you like, subscribe, share. There will be spoilers and explicit content as we move along. Just want to give a shout out to the cast and the crew. The show is created by Doug Ellen, executive produced by Mark Wahlberg, stars Adrian Grenier as Vince, Kevin Connolly as E, Kevin Dillon as Johnny Drama, Jerry Ferrara as Turtle, and Jeremy Piven as Ari Gold. Now, before we talk about the 19 episodes that made it to the finals, there are some things that we discussed that we want to make sure we break down and have a conversation about. So at the end of last week, we started an impromptu conversation about top 5 characters. And we ended up saving it for this week. And now is the time to have that conversation. I think the both of you have been leading off the past couple of weeks. So I'll use this as my week to just kind of lead off. Let you brothers think about it if you don't have it already. But we're going to go with the top 5 of the main cast. So obviously the top 5 billing, which is going to be Vince, Ari, E, Turtle, and Drama. And then we'll do a top 5 just random ancillary characters. The only caveat is you can't use a celebrity cameo unless they had a recurring cameo in the series. So your people like Bob Saget, things like that, who've been around for multiple episodes. Yeah, what's up?
My bad. Can you use a character like is Scott Lavin a main character or is he a side character?
No, he's a side character. Only main characters are the
side character.
Okay, so the crew is the main.
We're gonna rank the crew.
Plus okay, got it.
And then we're gonna rank our top 5 just random characters that we had throughout the series. No matter how much screen time they had, if they had more than one episode, they qualify. If they had more than one episode, they qualify. So I'm going to go ahead and just talk about the main. We'll talk about the main cast first, and then we'll get into the secondary. So for my main cast, this is very hard because I love all of these characters. I'm strictly going off my enjoyment when they come on screen, how much impact they make on the show. You can't replace any of them, but my personal preference, I'm ranking them from there. And since there's only 5 spots, it's going to sound crazy for me to put my mans at number 5, but I got to put Turtle at number 5.
Okay.
Love Turtle as a character, one of my favorites. That's why I said this list is crazy because 5 wouldn't be bad if it was the entire series and you talk about everybody, but being the last on this list is kind of nuts because he is one of my favorite characters. I just enjoy the other 4 a little bit more, just a little bit more. All right, and with that being said, number 4, once again, sounds crazy. I got to go with Vince. Vince is one of the best friends I've ever seen, ever. Like that, Vince is the friend that I strive to be, the friend that you want in your life, not just because of what he does for people, but because of how selfless he is. You know, obviously we had season 7 Vince, which was a little bit nuts, but everything else is out of pure, genuine love and loyalty. Remember, these ain't people he met in Hollywood or anything. These are people he grew up with. To treat your people, to treat your family the way Vince does, to use his celebrity, to let other people around him use his celebrity as well. I think that's really dope of Vince. It's crazy that he's only my number 4. For number 3, got to go with the main character. We discussed this last week. Main character of the show is not Vince, it's E. As much as we give E a hard time, this show is not the show without E's character. It's just not. He's the driving force of so many narratives, so many great conversations, and so many great story arcs. And I got to give him his props. He's that friend, once again, that you need, but also the friend that you'll strangle. Like there's always the 2 in the group that they cool. Yeah, y'all cool, but you know they don't really spend too much one-on-one time together. We hang together as a crew. Like it's rare that them 2 probably gonna be together by themselves and calling you to say, hey, where you at? Come kick it with us. Like, yeah, we good. Right. And E would be that friend. Like E would be like, yo, we in the crew, I fuck with you, but I don't think I'm calling E on some one-on-one shit. Just because his personality is a little bit too much for me. All right, so we got E as number 3. Number 2, gotta go with Ari. Gotta go Ari Gold. For so many years when I was younger, Ari Gold was my favorite character. It wasn't even close. I have a book. They actually released a book called The Gold Standard, just a bunch of Ari Gold quotes and moments, and I have it. I have a hardcover copy. I found it for like $5 at Barnes and Nobles one day and had to get it because I'm an Entourage fan. Oh shit! Yeah, the way, obviously the entertainment factor, just his brashness, his just I'm gonna do it my way. I really don't have any regard. Spike Lee and myself talk about this, and I know for a fact Chaz is the same way. Just that disregard of authority and somebody telling you what you can and can't do. Like there's a certain small things that, Ari just didn't give a fuck. Like this is my show. I'm running it my way. So he's my number 2. And then number 1, Johnny Drama. Johnny Drama is one of the best TV characters ever. One of the best TV characters ever. One of the funniest TV characters ever. I'm going to talk about it in one of my episodes that I think should be in contention for best ever, about a moment that happened like on the show or behind the scenes. And we'll have that conversation. And it plays perfectly into Johnny Drama and who he is. But you've heard us over the past, 8 episodes, 9 episodes, however many it's been, talk about Johnny Drama, some of his quotes. And not only that, man, he really is a good brother. I was thinking about the episode Sorry, Ari. And he's the only one that was really standing up, using his experience, giving Vince some real ass advice about, listen, before you make this kind of big decision, think about this, this, and this. You can appreciate someone like him, someone who's going to ride. The thing we talked about him and Turtle, looking out for Turtle with the whole Jamie Lynn Sigler situation. Yes, it's a little bit extreme. I would have probably told my nigga, like, I appreciate you, but you ain't have to do all that. But you do appreciate people that's going to ride for you in those type of situations. Like, no matter what, it's family. So Johnny Drama got to be my number 1. I don't know who wants to go next.
That's a good list.
I'll go next. So it's weird because my list is really similar to yours, except a flip flop in one category, and my number 5 is actually the main character E.
I can see
And
that. You hate E.
although I I do realize E's importance to this show, and I do think that he is the driving force. But there are certain things about E that just really, really just irk my nerves. And for that, like I had to put him as number 5. And not saying that like if we put a list of all the characters that even appeared on this, he would still be probably at number 5 for me. You know, it's just where he just belongs for me. Now, and then much like Rich, Vince is number 4. And what can I say, man? You right about that. Everybody in this world deserves a friend like Vince. To be honest.
Hey, real quick, check. Real quick. If you're gonna have a friend who's rich and famous, you want them to be like Vince.
You absolutely do. You absolutely do. There's like I can't think of a better person that or a better personality type than you would want than Vince's personality type who would be famous. You know what I'm saying? Like I often say like about myself, I never want to be famous. I don't have the temperament to be famous. But I would say this: if I were like to hit the lotto or something like that, everybody that I got love for would have something coming. I wouldn't necessarily specify like over the air how much it is, but they all know that they would have something coming, no doubt. So in that regards, and I would make sure all my people are taken care of. But with that said, yeah, Vince will be my.
Y'all heard that, people? Hey, Mega Millions, 800 million right now. Y'all heard him say that.
Rich, you already know that you would be good. So
yeah, all right.
Now, Spike Blue, I just met you, brother, but I still probably I ain't even
don't worry, Spike. I'll cut you a little. I'll cut you 10% of mine, bro. It's all good, Spike.
I appreciate it. We're gonna make it work. I got both of y'all brothers if it happened to me.
Next would be Turtle. Turtle had one of the best upswings that you could possibly have in any series. And for that alone, yeah, he is my number 3 character. Because it's not just that he started out as Vince's driver, but if y'all remember, he was getting an allowance of like $2,000 a month.
Nah, he was like 600. It might have been 600 or 800. Because remember, the Playboy Mansion party.
Oh yeah,
1,200. He needed 1,200 for them pajamas, and he said, "Can I get like 6 weeks advance?"
Damn.
So I think he was making like 200 a week.
Hey,
200 a week.
Y'all gotta think. He ain't buying no food.
No
he ain't
food,
buying
no
like
nothing. Drinks.
That 200 just like.
Yeah, that's true. Like, where do you actually spend your money on? If you know,
yeah.
So
he carries Vince's cards.
Right. Definitely. So Turtle would be it. You know, so that would be my number 3, and then obviously, you know, Ari is my number 2 because Ari is like he's just that dude, man. You can't say enough about Ari, man. That just like I would say you would want a friend like Vince if they ever were rich and famous or something like that. You would want a friend like Ari as well. That's always gonna give it to you straight, or you know what I'm saying. That's really got your best interest in heart. You know what I'm saying? Like you want that, and that's gonna always go to bat for you. And then Drama is the best. Like Rich said, that's my number 1, and he's arguably one of the best. And when I say one of the best, I mean like I'd be really hard pressed to name 5. A legit 4 or 5 characters more that are better characters than Drama. Like as far as in comedy, as far as in just TV shows in general, his comedic timing, he gave off funny as fuck without trying to be funny as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like
The
he
whole
gave that
Johnny.
off. Go ahead.
My fault. I was gonna say the whole Johnny Bananas premise about them
Yeah.
explaining drama like he's funny. Like I'm not funny, bro. You're not you funny. You just don't know it. Like you one of them type
Right.
people. You're absolutely
Right.
right, Chaz.
So in that, and I just out of all the characters, he had the best timing with all his jokes, with all his one-liners. There's a drama quote in every episode. You can't really say that about every other character, but in every episode of Entourage, there's this one drama quote that you be like, "This motherfucker crazy as shit," or "This motherfucker funny as shit." You know what I'm saying? So that's my list as the top 5.
I like the list. I'm
Another
not mad at it.
amazing list. Another amazing list. I guess I will wrap this thing up. Number 5 for me is E. I won't double down on a lot of the stuff that you guys have already said. I will say that this list for me would have been totally different if we had been doing this podcast maybe 10 years ago. But watching it this time around with the just more observation and that we're talking about it amongst each other and just being older and experiencing more stuff, this would have been a totally different list for me 10 years ago. That being said, E is definitely at the bottom. I had a brand new hatred for E watching this time around. I forgot some of the shit that he pulled off, man. It really, he do some shit like y'all are right. He cool friend to have, but he do some shit where I'm like, Rich, me and him ain't hanging out like just me and you. Like the whole crew got to be there before you hit me up and we doing something. Number 4 for me is Vince. Y'all said it perfectly. Everything y'all said. That's the friend that you would want to make it big. Not the one that's going to disappear on you. Not the one that's going to fuck it up, but the one like Vince is still going to be considerate, still got his boys there with him. It ain't right if you ain't here type of vibe that he gives off. That's amazing. Everybody wants to be that friend or to have a friend like this. So I agree with y'all with 3. 4 is Vince. 3 is Turtle for a lot of the same reasons that you said, Chaz, from where he went to where we saw him end up as a millionaire and just his whole relationship with everybody and how he was so able to just relate to people, the everyday people. Every episode they made it a thing where he would just go somewhere and people would know Turtle. I thought that was really dope. Number 2, Ari. Number 2 is Ari for me. Again, this list would have been different a couple of years ago. I would have had Ari at number 1. That I'm buying that book that Rich talked about. I'm an Ari Gold fan. I could see an Ari Gold spinoff, anything that you would want to even revive in the role. I'm with it. So that Ari is easily one of my favorite TV characters ever. With that being said, just watching it this time around, the respect that I had for, is it Kevin Dillon? That's his name, right?
Kevin
His real
Dillon,
name.
yeah.
Man, the respect I have for how he played this role, bro. Like no one else could do this. No one else could have did this type of way. And I hadn't really noticed it until we all collectively here, we started talking about it, doing this podcast about it. Like I usually would just like, aha, that's funny, that's drama. But just watching it this time around, like the perfection that nigga had in the execution of what he was doing was amazing. Like just like Chad said, the comedic timing, the facial expressions. It ain't one episode where you don't have a quote from dude or a memorable moment. Like he really was like we say that the show was about E. The engine of the show was drama. Like he's the one. Like he was the one that drove this show, and I feel like that's just amazing, especially because we ain't seen Kevin Dillon in too much stuff since then. But this was his acting peak right here. Number 1 for me is drama.
I love that list. Not mad at it. To your point, Spike, 10 years ago, no question Ari would have been my number 1. No question
Mine
about
too.
it.
I was gonna say, I feel like I know you brothers from doing this podcast decently, and I think all of us would have had Ari at number 1 some years ago.
Yeah,
but drama's it. Drama's
that show how undeniable the performance was by Dillon in this series, man. This shit was amazing.
And as you were talking, I just made me think of something. I don't know how many other shows. I have to really sit down and make a list. I don't know how many other shows had 2 slam dunk spinoffs with characters. You can make a drama spinoff, and you could have made a Ari spinoff.
Ari spinoff.
Not too many shows have that. I remember The Office tried to do a Dwight spinoff. It just never took off. Like it's hard to make these.
Damn, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. One of those late season episodes when they was at the Schrute Farms.
At the farm?
That was the backdoor pilot. That was a backdoor pilot for the Dwight Schrute series, and it just never took off. Just remember, y'all are old enough to remember this. We all are old enough to remember this. I don't know why I said it like I'm excluded. Even though I'm the only nigga still in his 30s. But yeah, I had to throw that in there. We all were around when the Geico caveman commercials were a big deal, and they were funny, little 30-second spots. So y'all remember they made that a TV show? They did
try to make a TV show out of that.
Remember how quick they got the fuck up? Remember how quick they got it the fuck up out of here? Yeah, like some concepts some characters are only meant to be the second fiddle in whatever in the big screen grand scheme of things.
Yeah,
both of them could have carried their own another 4 or 5 series of their own led shows.
Absolutely.
Oh, fact. I would have been there all day and twice on Sundays for the drama spinoff.
Yeah. So it's
whether it had been a prequel or a sequel. Like
the prequel would have been fire. If they had, but the thing is, you would have to find an actor good enough as Kevin, like somebody to play their role as well as him in his younger years.
Now that would have been hard.
That would have been the hard part of that.
That would have been hard.
All right. I'm gonna go with the ancillary characters, those B characters, the minor role players, you know, the people that aren't superstars, but game 6 of the finals, they come off the bench and catch a hot hand. I give you 15 off the bench and seal the deal for you. And these are just characters that I personally enjoyed. When they came on screen. Didn't get a lot of screen time with a ton of them, but they were my favorites. So number 5, I gotta go with Rufus. Only had a few episodes. He was selling stereos in season 1. Then by the time we get to season 3, he's got the car shop. He's making sure that what is it?
His
daughter's name, Lauren London. Yeah, her and Turtle. That whole scenario. I just enjoyed him, man. I just enjoyed how blunt he was. The whole your car's finished, get it and get the fuck out. All that dumb shit that he was saying, man. I fuck with Rufus. He's got my number 5 spot. Another character who just didn't get a lot of time, but I enjoyed him every single time he was on screen. Got to give it to Marvin, the accountant. One of my favorite moments in Entourage. Is when I think it's Malibu, when he's at Dennis Hopper's house, and he was on the phone with Vince. And there's something about, and this is why I love these characters, because these are real people. Like, these are people you need in your life to tell you, like, bro, you bugging. Like, he was at the doctor's table hearing Vince talking about $100,000. Stake you $100,000 for what? I kind of got a soccer bet with Dennis Hopper. What? As your accountant, you got the balls to ask me for $100,000, and this is the reason why? Like, get the fuck out of there.
Niggas said, get out of there right now.
Vince said, I can't do that. Yes, you fuck you can. You put one foot in front of the other and you move them. And the funniest part about that whole conversation was Vince started the conversation saying, so Marvin, when you say I'm broke, what do you really mean? Nigga, I mean, you busted. You living off your black card. And that nigga Vince said, He said, what the fuck is like, you just need characters like that, man. Marvin is my number 4. My number 3, Mrs. R. I gotta show some love to Mrs. R. She held it down. I was looking at my list and I didn't have any women. And I thought about all the main women in the show, and I liked her. You know, Sloane almost made the cut, but I don't feel like the show necessarily did her justice with the whole back and forth with E. I don't know if we had enough of Sloane time outside of E, and we all know how we feel about E, so she's kind of connected to that in a weird way. And I just thought of Mrs. Ari as somebody who, you know, from season 1, especially those early years, her just being around, putting up with Ari's bullshit. She was just a solid character, and I really did appreciate her. I enjoyed her. They gave her own little storylines as far as her going back to work, as far as acting on the soap, all of that. Had to fuck with Mrs. Ari, around for every single season. Shout out to her. Number 2. What's up?
I was gonna say, and I loved how they managed to not call her by her actual name until the end Melissa. Of the damn series. Yeah.
Yep. So season 8.
I liked how I liked how they did that.
Yep. I love how they did that too. Number 2 might be, I don't want to say it's controversial. I know it won't be controversial between us, but I know a lot of people might he just was thrown in for the last few seasons. Scott Lavin is a solid character. Scott Conn, the way he played him was incredible. But Scotty Lavin is one of those characters you just want to see. I'm not gonna say he would have been a spinoff, but he's the perfect side character to be in that drama spinoff. Like
Absolutely.
he moves to New York with Sloan. Now Scotty is managing drama, and that whole I can see it now. HBO, man, y'all can run them numbers. Y'all can cut a check if y'all want to. I'm giving y'all show ideas.
Man,
I can see it now, and that being a
gold.
thing. Yeah, it'd be gold, man. I got to go with Scotty Lavin. Some of his classic moments, some of the just the way he talked to E, the whole E and Scott beef. Great character. Would have loved to see a lot more of him. But he is, if you are going to add more characters because you're extending the show out longer than it should be, you should get a character like Scott Lavin. Get a character like Scott Lavin. And then number one, I haven't been shy about it. I know a lot of people don't like him, but I don't care. It's been my favorite side character in Entourage ever since I started watching Entourage. Billy Walsh. That's all I'm going to say. Billy Walsh, man. Billy Walsh is my guy. Billy Walsh, the way he's just, from the first time we meet him, just a grade A pompous dickhead. Like one of those people where, like, bro, at some point, we should have seen it from his first appearance in the scene. At some point, him and E are going to throw hands. He's crazy. He's not someone I could be around, but watching him on film, on TV, highly entertaining. That's my list.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm going
Absolutely.
with. Chaz, what you got?
All right, man. I got all right, so I have at number 5, I have a tie, and I didn't really want to do a tie, but I just had to do a tie.
Yeah,
and
man,
that is Bob Saget and Seth Green. Just Bob Saget was just completely over the top, damn near all the time that he was on the show, which I fucking loved. Because honestly, there's something about the character that he portrayed that made me think that he actually might be like that in real life.
No, he is. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
He was.
No, I'm not saying the vulgar
Bob
shit.
Saget.
I mean the actual. Yeah, I'm like he might have been actually like his whole character, like you know what I'm saying, like cock blocking drama. You know what I'm saying, at the pool. Yeah, I can see him actually doing that shit. Like it's just shit like that. So telling E like you really gonna walk out on a blowjob story? Yeah. That I can really see that. I could see him having that conversation with him. So for that, and then Seth Green, because Seth Green, we talked before about. I know we've had a conversation about characters that you just when you see him, you want to punch him in the face. Seth Green,
very punchable face,
definitely has like one of the most punchable faces I've ever seen in my life, and the fact that. Whether that was his character in real life or his character, like whether he's like that in real life or that was just a character on the show, either way, I see Seth Green and I just want to punch him in the face. And for that, I kind of liked him for that. Like I like the role that he filled. You know what I'm saying? So for that, that's my number 5. Then I gotta go with my homeboy Lloyd because next to Turtle, I feel like Lloyd had one of the better character arcs too. Because he came in on Ari's desk and the abuse and crazy talk that he took. But by the end of the series, not only was he an agent, but he was head of the TV department. And from secretary to head of the TV department, and that's a hell of an arc, man. So I definitely like that. Lloyd had that in him, and they at least had him have some kind of payoff to dealing with all kinds of shit that he had to put up with Ari. So he's my number 4. My number 3.
Hold on, that was your number 3.
That was my number 4.
He had 2 at 5.
That's right. My bad.
My number 3 is Sloan. Even though she didn't have as much screen time as possible, like it was just it was something about it. Like every time she was on the screen, I was glued to it. I just thought that she actually, no matter what, she shifted your attention. And I liked that about her. I mean, I would have liked to see if she would have had more of a comedic, you know what I'm saying, had more comedic timing and stuff like the rest of the characters. But I did love her as a character, so she's my number 3. And number 2, Billy fucking Walsh. Cause hey, hey man, every time he was on that motherfucking screen, he was taking over. You know what I'm saying? Like he was taking over from convincing convincing Vince that hey, it's okay to get a blowjob on in this movie by a guy. Like what? You know what I'm saying? Like he had Vince like fuck it, I'll do it. Like just to say, hey, listen, just to see if hey, you really about this movie like I'm about this movie. This motherfucker, they have a documentary about Medellin. It says it's gonna be masterpieces are really gonna fucking suck. Hey, until we watch, until I see the first cut, I don't know. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, he was just that I'm all in kind of motherfucker, and I liked all that shit. I even liked the sober Billy. You know what I'm saying? The sober Pastor Billy. I liked it that form. And then I like him coming back to the you know, he was a pastor. He was like actually an ordained minister. You remember him saying?
I know, but you said Pastor Billy just sounded funny to me.
Pastor Billy. Yeah, and then even on the last season, I liked him in that too. So I fuck with Billy Walsh, and then my number 1, Scott Lavin. I love the character of Scott Lavin. What can I say? I'm with you. I love that he was at the end. He was the yin to E's yang. I liked how he you know what I'm saying. He told E straight up, "Hey man, you a little bitch." You know what I'm saying? Like hey, because sometimes you gotta hear that shit. He was giving it to E raw, pause, and
super pause. Jesus.
Yeah, right. Yeah, on that note, I'm just gonna stop. Hey, it's on you right there.
You know what I just thought about? You know what I just thought about real quick? Not to pause him before that. When you say Scotty called you a little bitch, I don't know if y'all remember Lottery Ticket. Ticket with Bow Wow. There's a moment when the dude that played Chris from The Wire, he talking to Damon, or what's his name? Terry Crews character. Terry Crews character got a gun on him. And that nigga Chris look at him and say, you know what I think? I think you a little bitch. And you ain't never shot nobody in your whole life. And that nigga definitely nutted up. Sometimes you just look in the eyes, man. Kids, hey, Chaz, no, Jadakiss got a line about that, nigga.
Yeah.
I ain't even big, but I size niggas up because their eyes give them up.
Look at them and see their butt.
Yeah, man.
Pause Spike, again.
What's my list, man? So I have an honorable mention. Dana Gordon is my honorable mention on my list. I wouldn't put it at 5 to tie it, but I do want to shout out. I really liked her character. I like she was kind of the go-to woman for Ari. I liked Mrs. Ari as well, but just her being someone that even when Ari was going through his shit and her not taking it, like a lot of women would have played it a different way. And I respect how she played it versus it being something different. So highest respect to Dana Gordon. Number 5 on my list, Amanda Daniels. I fucked with Amanda Daniels when she was representing Vince. I like the straightforwardness of getting it out of the way. Hey, this is like when they had the whole fuck scene or whatever it may be, and how she played Ari with the football team. Like, nigga, I'm a boss. Like, I think Amanda Daniels was one of the best female bosses in this show. So I fuck with her head. Number 4, Shauna. I fuck with Shauna, man. I like how she represents Vince. Always made sure he was on his shit. Always made sure he was put in the best light. Took that shit really seriously. You could tell how much of a beast she was at her job. And it was like the female extension of the crew. though she wasn't in it as much, those little moments that she does have in the show, she always nails it. So number 4, Shauna for me. Number 3, I agree with you, Chaz Sloan. Um, I'm taking it from the show that they didn't capitalize off a hell of a character that they had, and I'm still going to rank her high. I think there could have been a lot more Sloan. There was a lot left on the bone with that character, as you mentioned, Chaz. But I still think the little room that she had, she worked her area. Like, she's one of the most memorable characters in this whole series. So I got to go with Sloan for number 3. Number 2 is Lloyd. Lloyd was like, he was there through the thick and thin, man. Like, he got Ari through. Like, as much of a fan as I am of Ari's character, like, as much as he degraded Lloyd and said all this crazy shit, Lloyd was always on point. And Ari trusted him. He could depend on him. And that's hard for a character like Ari to do. And I respected that. So I got him at number 2. And number 1 is Scott Levin, man. Like, closer. Great closer. Like, he came in throwing Mariano Rivera like curveball sliders all through the last seasons. Like, he did everything that he needed to do. It was just enough of a new splash where it didn't feel awkward like we felt with Dom. Like, remember when they tried to add Dom to the crew, he was like, nope, this doesn't work. Get him out of here. Why is he here? But when Scott came, it was like, yeah, they need some Scott in their life. Like, he was got kind of married with Sloan, and he was just edgy enough to get Vince in trouble. Yeah, I fucked with Scott, man. He's one of my favorite side characters.
Nigga said, I'll get blown for you one time. you go home to your wife. You go home to your fiance. I'll get blown for you one time. And then turn around and looked at the nigga and said, we probably won't have any fun. Going to Vegas on a private jet, talking about we probably won't have any fun. No, don't worry about it. Hey, Scott Levin was a fucking genius.
Scott Levin was a beast.
Hey, comedic timing at his finest, bro. Man, some of the best timing he had. So I'm with you on that,
man. Great. Those are great lists. I do want to ask real quick. We don't have to go through ranking the seasons, but I do want to know, what was your favorite season as we went back and rewatched this entire series? Or if you want to give your favorite or your top 2 or 3.
I don't have my favorite ready just yet, but I do want to say this before y'all give y'all's. Did y'all notice this time around watching this? I'd never noticed this before. The background characters, like, it ain't never a not pretty chick in the background that's working in the office, that's doing the walkthrough at the flea market. Like, they extras in this show was next level. Like, I found that shit amazing. Like, just if y'all ever rewatch it again, and for people that are rewatching it, just the people that work in the offices in the background and just walking through, just cast extras, all of them are bad. Like, they had a very, really good casting director. I want to say that.
You're absolutely right. Speaking of backgrounds, real quick, did either one of y'all pay attention to the background
I did pay
in Ari's office? Does that look real?
It's fake.
They look fake, right?
Yeah,
you didn't pay attention, or no? You don't.
I didn't even notice it.
No, it's fake.
Oh yeah.
I ain't noticed it until you said it.
It's just one of those things that nobody ever talked. I've never heard anybody have that discussion. All the times I talked about Entourage, and it to me is blatantly fake. Like, I can't believe y'all got this off for so many years. Like, I just can't believe it.
I definitely
and the fact that it's fake, it don't bother me. It don't even bother me.
Yeah,
it works. It works.
Let me ask you this before you get into one more. Did you find, like, out of all the characters, do you think any of them outside of Turtle really listens to hip hop music?
He probably
maybe Vince.
Yeah, Vince probably a little bit, but it's
I put Vince last. I think he might get a little Wu-Tang in there, a little Mobb Deep, just because, you know, that's how white boys from that era and generation get down. He might listen to some Beastie Boys and some shit like that. But other than that, I think it's rock. Definitely no from Drama.
Nah, Drama.
Scott Lavin might bump some. Like, what year was this? When
Scott Lavin was on, we're talking about 2009 through 11.
Yeah,
when Scott was on.
Scott Lavin, yeah. Scott might, he might know some little hip hop shit just from being.
I will say this. Now, here's the thing, though. Somebody in the show, because if you listen to their soundtrack and these episodes,
oh yeah, when they close it out, that's
what I was getting at.
Yeah,
that's what I was getting at. Yeah. That I was like, this. It was a lot of hip hop in the background, but it's like, it was weird because I didn't feel like any of them really would connect with the hip hop like that for them to put that in there for every fucking
That's
like
an
I never
interesting
heard any rock songs.
observation. That's a
Like
really
maybe
interesting
there was
observation.
maybe a couple episodes at the very end credits. There might have been a little bit, but for the most part, it was all hip hop.
That makes sense.
And you're
That
right.
makes
It
sense.
ain't nobody in this show probably that listen to hip hop other than Turtle.
Right.
Nah, for sure. Turtle, that's all he listened to.
Yeah.
Like, he'll go to the other shit. Like say they went to the U2 concert and all that, but Turtle, like, nah. Turtle one of them, like, I'll go to this with y'all, but y'all come with me to the,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think whoever was popping in 08, whoever coming next time. Or Turtle the one that knew Kanye.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Yeah.
Turtle tapped into that life. So before I ask you, I'm gonna ask you about the movies and the concept. Before I run down the list, do you want me to give the list of the movies that Vince was actually in and was made, or the movies that we knew about that Vince was offered, maybe passed on? How do you want me to do it? All the movies, or just the ones that he had? All right,
Chaz? You gonna say all? I was gonna say the ones that he actually. I was gonna say the ones he made, but all of them is cool with me too.
Yeah, because we could talk about what would have been interesting, even though he wasn't in it. So here's the question for everybody out there listening and watching: is Vinny Chase marathon weekend at your local movie theaters, your favorite movie theater, all weekend? You can see Vinny Chase movies for a discounted rate. That's all they're showing. They're not showing anything regular. You have $10, $15, however much it costs to go to the movies, to buy one ticket. What movie are you spending your money on? All right, we'll go down this list. Head On, Queens Boulevard, Matterhorn, Aquaman, Aquaman 2, Medellin, I Want to Be Sedated, the Ramones Project, Gatsby, Enzo Ferrari, Airwalker, or that Nick Cassavetes film where he did the stunt. All of those movies, which one are you actually spending your money on first?
Queens Boulevard just seems like my type of movie. Like for some reason, because maybe Queens, Bronx, it reminds me, like always in my head, I get like Bronx Tale type of vibes from Queens Boulevard. And as we know, that's my favorite movie. So I'm going to go Queens Boulevard.
Okay, then. Chaz, what about you?
Damn, nigga, did we just become best friends? Are we doing karate in the gym? I'm in the basement.
In the garage.
What the fuck?
In the garage.
In the garage. What the fuck? I'm with you on that. I'm gonna say Queens Boulevard. As Rich knows, Bronx Tale is my favorite movie. It's tied with Pulp Fiction. But yeah, no, I'm gonna go with Queens Boulevard. Then maybe Airwalker would be number 2 just because of Stan Lee. And I like Marvel shit. So
we're going trifecta here. Queens Boulevard is it. I'm a sucker for those art house type of low budget, dope as shit. Not a lot of people have seen it movies. That's my bag. I just enjoy that. I enjoy putting people on to certain movies. Like, what? You ain't never seen that? And then like, and them coming back and saying, "Oh, you right." It just felt like Queens Boulevard had that energy. But I do want to say this. One of my favorite, probably guilty pleasure movies out of this list would probably be Head On. Remember, Head On was like some kind of murder mystery. It was Vince's first movie. It was his coming out party. That was the one he did with Jessica Alba.
Yeah,
I forgot
when he talked about. Yeah, when, remember it was a title episode. That was his one. We coming out the limo. He going to the Head On premiere. He telling E like, I don't read the scripts. I didn't even know who the killer was until I saw the thing. It just seemed like one of those fun movies, those mystery thrillers. It's kind of like the same way Out of Time is one of my favorite Denzel movies. It's not his best movie. It's not his best performance. But as far as just sitting down and having it on in the background and just one of those enjoyable, easy to follow films, I feel like Head On would have been that for me. It'd have been like Vinny Chase's Out of Sight. Like this is some silly shit. Like you know Denzel better than that, but I love that movie. So I just want to throw that out there as well.
It's good.
All right, fellas. Looking at my Gucci, it's about that time. We are going to discuss the 19 episodes, not all of them. But we're going to run down these 19 episodes and really discuss which episode is going to take home the best episode ever title. Now, before we do this, I do want to ask you a question of how you want to go about this. So I have two ways that might make sense. We can either go by season, and you can name me the if we're in a season, you can name me the episodes that you know like this isn't going to be in contention, and we'll just trim that off the list. Kind of put that as an honorable mention. Say your piece about it. If you know, as we get closer to the, hey man, this almost made the cut, but it didn't quite make it, and you want to make a comment about it, you can do it like that. Or we can literally I can start naming the episodes, and we can just say, not put that in the bottom, or put that in the contender list. How do y'all want to do it? Y'all want me to go by season, or y'all want me to go by just episodes? Any preference?
Chaz, I'll let Chaz answer.
I say go by seasons.
Okay, got you. So I'll name the episodes by the seasons then. I am curious about this. We don't talk about this before we start recording. I'm curious to know how y'all went about watching these episodes. These 19 that we had in the finale. Did y'all watch them in order?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I definitely.
I didn't.
So I went to a website that randomizes list. I just put all the 19 episodes in that list and I randomized it because I didn't want to watch it in order because you can see the progression as it goes on. I just kind of wanted to jumble it up, and I felt like it would have given me a better feel. So I'm not following the actual storyline. I'm actually looking at these episodes for what they were individually. So I jumbled mine up, and it does give you a better look, and it made it a little bit easier. I say at the end of it, there's probably 3 episodes that I said were really contenders, and I got it down to 2. And those 2 episodes are going to be like, my whole thing is this, because I said we have to agree on the episode. I'm not going to be a stickler about things unless I absolutely feel like, nah, that ain't it. But it's like how I view The Wire and The Sopranos, right? The Wire is my favorite show of all time. In my opinion, The Wire is the greatest show of all time. However, if you were to come up to me and say Sopranos is the greatest show of all time, I'm not mad at you. I'm not about to argue. It's not like you said something crazy. You know, I would defer to that. All right, cool. I disagree, but I defer. Like, I'm not going to sit here and argue that case. That's how I'm going to feel about when we get to these finales, like to this actual winner, right? If we can make a good enough case, if I don't agree with y'all choice, y'all make a good enough case where I'm like, you know what? That makes sense. That's how I'm looking at this. So we'll go ahead and go down the list. We'll go by the seasons. I'm going to go through season 1 first. We're just going to say if these are going into the contention pile or if they're going to be in the it didn't make the cut. Or it could be in the borderline cut, but just didn't have enough to make it to the top. All right. I'll start with myself. Okay. Season 1 episodes, we had 2 of them. We had Busey on the Beach and we had The Scene. Personally, for me, neither one of these were in contention. I will say The Scene is a very solid episode, especially when you rewatch it again. It just didn't have enough for me to justify being the best episode ever. Like, there's not too many that you can pop out and say, yes, that's absolutely the best episode ever. I don't have either one of them in real contention. If I was to pick one of the 2, it would be The Scene. But those are my 2. What about you? Busey on the Beach and The Scene. Which one you going with, Spike Lou?
I ain't gonna move neither one of these forward. Is that how we doing it?
Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't move either one of these forward.
El Boogie Tal, what about you?
Neither
one, right?
Neither one.
Okay. Season 2. We had 2 episodes. An Offer Refused and Exodus. I will say Offer Refused. This is one, and this is also something I love to hear from y'all as we move along. As you were rewatching, is there any decision that you were looking like, damn, why did I pick that? Or damn, man, maybe this episode was a little bit better. Because that's how I felt a little bit after watching An Offer Refused. That was my pick for season 2. Both of you had Exodus. I still thoroughly enjoy, and I even talked about this in our season 3A episode, or our season 3 episode. I thoroughly enjoyed An Offer Refused, just the storyline of what happened. but it has no business like being. Like, it's
it should have been
not a
sweeps,
contention.
Rich.
Yeah, it could have.
It should have been
Should have been
sweeps. It should have been sweeps.
Yeah, I felt bad because
Hey.
I'm thinking like these niggas
Yeah.
probably watching this episode thinking like, why the fuck Rich picked this? I think
Hey,
Exodus
but
should
I
be
feel the same way.
I was about to say, I say that to say Exodus was that good. I would move that forward though.
Exodus
That's in
is
the conversation.
Exodus should be in the conversation. Exodus should be in the conversation. I'm with that. Chaz, what about you?
I'm gonna say Exodus as well. I felt the same way you felt about season 1 when I picked Busey and the Beach. I should have picked the scene, but you know I didn't, and I thoroughly enjoyed both of the actual episodes. But as far as season 2 goes, Exodus definitely moves on for me. That was
All right.
it's
So
up there for me. So.
All right, we got one that's gonna make it to this final conversation. Exodus, season 3, part A. We'll start at part A. We had 3 episodes. Not all in a row. Vegas, baby, Vegas. What about Bob? Sorry, Ari. I'll tell you right now. Sorry, Ari. I do not see it moving forward. What about Bob was in contention. It was on the borderline. Really strong episode. I enjoyed it a lot. Just didn't make that cut for me. Vegas, baby, Vegas definitely made the cut. That needs to be talked about in contention as one of the best episodes ever. That's my personal opinion. What do y'all think? What's your thoughts?
I know I didn't pick Vegas, baby, Vegas. Who picked? Well, I ain't gonna say.
I picked that one.
I knew I didn't pick that because that was too far out of the realm. I feel like even with the Self Green shit, but I just not in contention for the best. Okay. I still did. I pick. What about Bob?
Yeah.
You picked What About Bob? Yes.
Yeah, I still feel like that's strong. Even though, like you said, Rich, if someone would tell me like, nah, that ain't it, I can get that that's just a personal thing. But I really enjoyed that episode, even watching it again, man.
So does it move to contention, really or is it borderline?
I mean, out of those, good thing there's 3 of us because I'm gonna say yes, but if you 2 say nah, I don't think so, I'm willing to concede to that as well.
It was borderline to me, and that's what we'll do. That's going to be the guideline. 2 out of 3. It was borderline to me, just didn't make the cut. You said it's moving on, Chaz. We have those 3 episodes: Vegas, baby, Vegas. What about Bob? Sorry, Ari. Which one?
Even though I picked Sorry, Ari, initially, I am gonna say that I don't have it moving on. What about Bob is definitely one of my favorite episodes in general, and so is Vegas, baby, Vegas. However, I'm only going to choose one, and I'm going to say Vegas, baby, Vegas moves on.
Yeah, What About Bob was really borderline. It was one of those. That was one of the episodes, especially when you watch it out of order, the way I did. You get more appreciation for it when it's a standalone. When you're not following, because that's one thing about Entourage. You follow, when we did Martin doesn't have a continuous storyline. All the episodes are some random shit. They might have certain things like, these people are together. Pam and Tommy get together for, a season and a half, and that's it. But as far as what happens episode to episode, it's not really like that. With this one, it was a little bit different, where season 2, they're chasing Aquaman. They're filming Aquaman the whole 9. Season 3, how is Aquaman doing? So on and so forth. What About Bob is one of those episodes that's like, damn, this really was strong. That's the famous, I used to fuck her back in the day, so she owes me. Ari said that to Bob about Dana Gordon.
No, that was Sorry, Ari. He said that in.
Was that Sorry, Ari? Okay, excuse me.
Yeah.
I know it was one of those episodes. I knew it had something to do with Bob Ryan. But What About Bob? Yeah. Strong episode. Like I said, right there on the borderline, but 2 out of 3 we voted. So far we have Exodus and Vegas, baby, Vegas moving on to the final conversation. Season 3, part B. The Princess Bride, Return of the King, Resurrection.
Man, Return of the King. Return of the King is good. That's good. That guy's good. That was a good episode. I would definitely nominate that.
You would nominate Return of the King?
Yes, sir. Did I pick that or did one of y'all pick?
No, you picked that one, I
You
believe.
picked Return of the King.
Okay.
Chaz picked The Princess Bride. I picked Resurrection. The Princess Bride is a great episode, especially the drama storyline. The Rush Hour 3 snafu.
Yeah.
Him really sitting there talking about, hey, I'm not leaving till you find me a part in Rush Hour 3. Told that to the assistant. I didn't notice. We didn't talk about it in our episode. The assistant with the polo and the skinny tie, like that was really fashion back then. That was nasty. It was sick. It was disgusting.
That was disgusting.
Like I was looking at it like, oh my goodness, I can't believe you used to rock this shit and pull women. The polo with the skinny tie? What the fuck is going on? I enjoyed that episode. It's a personal favorite. The Princess Bride, just for me, I don't think it's strong enough to be in the best episode ever. Like I don't think it competes with these other episodes that I'm thinking of. Very enjoyable episodes, but it makes the border. Resurrection is one that I liked a lot. That's it still gives me goosebumps when Johnny Drama gets the call that his show is, 16 million views, number one in the 18 to 49 demographic. Him just finally getting his win. That victory he yells at looking over the mountains and the canyon. I love that episode. However, I'm with Spike. I'll give him his 2/3 right now. I'll take Return of the King and I'll put that in the loop. That's worthy of a conversation.
Okay. As much
What's
as
your
I
thoughts on
all three of these episodes, I'm actually not pushing any of them. So I guess the one that y'all two already pushed, that's cool with me.
Okay, nice. All right. So we got 3 so far. We're moving on to season 4. We had 2 episodes. Chaz, you picked Gary's Desk. Spike and myself picked the Cons Kids. Gary's Desk, I enjoyed it. Obviously, we get E in his new office. They get Gary Busey bought the desk that Robert De Niro used to own. The whole 9, I get it. And I understand the Cons Kids, the whole south of France, I think moving location, that's pretty dope. However, neither one of these episodes did it for me to move them forward. Season 4 actually is a low-key, I might say it quietly, not too much out loud, low-key a weaker season of Entourage. It's not some of their strongest work, especially coming off season 3. I'm not moving either one. Obviously, Gary's Desk also had the Mary J. Blige, the twins fucking Ari being stunned. Like, did she fuck you as you, or did she fuck you thinking you was him?
That's hilarious. That's still great.
Yeah. How can one embryo? What do you say? How can one embryo produce 2 fuck ups, 2 fucking losers, whatever it was? A lot of great stuff in Gary's Desk. Yeah, very fun episode. One of the highlights of season 4. But between that and the Cons Kids, I don't think either one of them moved forward for me. What you guys think?
I enjoy Cons. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
I enjoy Cons Kids standing alone, not looking at the whole season. It's Luther Curl. It's Little Luther, Big Luther. Like it's good, but it ain't just quite. You know what I'm saying? So I could be satisfied with neither one of these not moving forward.
Yeah. Chaz, what you think?
Same here. I loved both episodes. Gary's Desk it's like I said, as a standalone, it's one of my favorites.
It's great.
However, if we're doing the best episode ever, it's not. So neither one of these actually move forward for me.
And that's something I will say that I'm appreciating about doing this right now. Gary's Desk has moved into those when I watch Entourage and I just want to watch a random episode. Which ones am I going to first? Like it's the end of the day. I just need some noise to go to sleep to. I'm putting Gary's Desk on. Yeah. Solid episode from start to finish. Goofy ass trying to call the Variety and everybody, telling people he's Vincent Chase's manager. All of that, the whole thing, everything about that episode was entertaining. Gary Busey returns, but I'm with y'all. It just doesn't make the best episode. It's not in the same realm as these other episodes that we got so far. So nothing from season 4. We'll move to the final discussion. Season 5. I'll keep this brief. We all swept it with the Returns to Queens Boulevard. I think we all agree that needs to be in the conversation for best episode.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. That would be an easy one. We'll talk further about that once we get there. Season 6. The Sorkin Notes, Murphy's Lie, Give a Little Bit. Sorkin Notes to me is like Gary's Desk. Great standalone episode, great episode to watch by itself. I don't think it should move on to the actual best episode ever. Right there on contention. I just think there are too many stronger episodes. And here's the thing. No matter how much I like an episode, if I know offhand I can name 3 or 4 I like more, then I'm like, all right, I don't know if I want to move you to the contenders. Because I know you're not going to win, so what we doing? You know what I mean? And I like Sorkin Notes, and that's the same way. I like Murphy's Lie, that's the same way. I will say this, and this kind of breaks my rule a little bit. I don't think Give a Little Bit is going to win, but I think it's worth the conversation. I'm not tripping if it doesn't move on, but I would nominate it to move on just because we talked about it. This would have been a perfect way to wrap up the series as a whole. We get a nice resolution to the Sloan E thing. Vince is on top of the world. Johnny Drama gets his holding deal. Matt Damon, which might be my favorite cameo in Entourage history, the way he played it. Like, all of these things went down. The longest episode of Entourage. I'm not mad if it contends, but I'm not going to be upset if it doesn't either. So I would nominate Give a Little Bit, the season 6 finale, to move forward. What y'all think?
I move Give a Little Bit forward as well. I think Give a Little Bit was very, because of what we said about how this series would have been a lot greater had it not stretched 2 seasons too long. Give a Little Bit would have been the de facto series finale versus season 6 finale. And if it had ended like this, there's a different conversation that's being had about this series. So I would move Give a Little Bit forward because I could look at that as a series finale.
Absolutely. Chaz, what about you?
I'm actually going to say the same thing. I love all 3 of those episodes. But I've often said that it's like we've all discussed, and I think we've all agreed upon that Entourage ended 2 seasons too late, and had that been the ending point, that would have been the series finale. I think everybody would say, you know what, that was the perfect way to end the series. So with that being said, I'm gonna push it up, but at the same time, I do think there are better episodes than Give a Little Bit. So
that's fair. I like to give it this. I like to give it this confirmation of solid, great. I don't think any of us are going to choose it as the best episode. But this is going to be something that's a time capsule. You know, we'll probably never rerun this back. And I like to, when I do things like that, when we do things like Good Earners, myself, Spike, and the good brother Mo, I like to make sure I get everything out possible. That's probably a big reason why I'm not in a rush to do The Wire, because I love that show so much. And I know just from a passionate standpoint, that's going to take so much out of me emotionally.
It's going to be so long. Like, there's going to be talking about 3-hour episodes.
Yeah,
man.
I might fuck around and be sad. I'm gonna be legitimately sad. Like, once we finish like season 3, and I'm gonna be sad. Like, there's certain episodes I'm like, I don't even want to talk about it because that means we get into the end of shit. So not to go too far ahead. But yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Give a Little Bit. Season 7. Matter of fact, I'll tell you right now. Season 7, we all swept with porn scenes from an Italian restaurant. In season 8, I had second to last. You 2 had the end. I'll tell you right now, personally, I don't think any of those 3 episodes from season 7 and 8 should move on. All good, solid episodes. That's just my opinion. Curious to know if you guys think differently, if we're going to add an extra episode to the list. What y'all think?
Porn scene from an Italian restaurant. Porn scenes from an Italian restaurant might need to be discussed.
Okay.
We're talking about Ari was in a different position than we had seen him in. We see the crash out over the NFL deal. Mark Cuban going back and forth, what we thought was a layup for Turtle. Like there was a lot of things in this episode, and then Vince wilding out, smashing your girl in the restroom, Ari and his wife. Like this really being there was stuff going on before then, but this is the episode where we really got like, oh damn, they might divorce. Like this was the seed planted for that. Like this episode was very memorable, and I think it's a piece of the story of the Entourage overall story. So that's why I would submit it.
Well, damn. Spike is already in finale mode because you sold me. Maybe we do need to move that forward. Chaz, what you think?
For all the reasons that he said that.
Spike just sold me. He just sold
me. Yeah. It's weird. I want to move it forward as well, but I still know it's not going to be like, even when we trim to like the top 3, it's still not going to be in top 3. True. So I know it's not going to win, but I still want to push it forward.
Okay. All right. So we got 6 episodes. What about either the season 8 episodes, second to last in the end?
No.
Okay. He said no.
Nah.
All right. We got 6 episodes, fellas. We've narrowed this down to 6. And for those out there, this could be your first time listening. Maybe you skipped all the other episodes, which, to quote Ari, which is nuts. But if you did that, I want to remind everyone, this isn't your traditional complex top 25 episodes. We did this a specific way because we really looked at the simple question of how can you be the best episode of a series if you're not even the best episode of your season? So that's the way we kind of broke this down. So if you're looking for episodes like One Day in the Valley, Tree Trippers, those classic Entourage episodes, Tree Trippers, if we were making a top 25 episodes list, Tree Trippers would be on it. One Day in the Valley would be on it. They probably both would be top 10.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be top 10, but I definitely would say they both in the top 25.
Yeah. Either way, if you're looking at this list and wondering where some of those classics episodes are, that is why, because we didn't deem them to be the best of their season. If you go back and listen to the episodes, we probably had them at 2 or 3, but just not number 1 to move forward. And like I said, how are you going to be the best episode of a series if you're not even the best episode of a season? So that's our whole theory with this. So we got 6 episodes now. We have Exodus, Vegas Baby Vegas, Return of the King, Return to Queens Boulevard, Give a Little Bit, Porn Scenes from an Italian Restaurant. Let's trim this list from 6 to 3. Let's trim this list from 6 to 3. All right. So I'll tell you right now, if I were to take 3 from this list, as far as top 3 episodes go, I'm going Vegas Baby Vegas, I'm going Return to Queens Boulevard, and I'm going Give a Little Bit. Those will be the 3 that I would have. That's my 3 I have moving forward. I'm interested to hear what y'all brothers got to say.
What were your 3 again? I'm sorry.
Vegas Baby Vegas, Return to Queens Boulevard, Give a Little Bit. Season 3, Season 5, Season 6, which are all my 3 favorite seasons of Entourage.
And what was the list one more time? What was the last 6 that we had?
Exodus, Season 2, penultimate episode. Ari gets fired.
Mm-hmm.
Vegas Baby Vegas, Return of the King, Return to Queens Boulevard, Give a Little Bit, Porn Scenes from an Italian Restaurant.
Okay. I have Exodus.
Okay.
Return to Queens Boulevard and Give a Little Bit.
Okay, then. Okay, so we have 2 matching ones. Chaz, let's hear your list.
I have Exodus, Vegas Baby Vegas, and Return to Queens Boulevard.
All right, so this is interesting. Okay, so this is interesting. So it really just comes down to, so we all had Exodus. Trips on Return to Queens Boulevard and Exodus, right?
Those are the 2.
All right, so I'll concede Vegas Baby Vegas. I want to tell y'all right now. I'll tell y'all right now. I think Vegas Baby Vegas should be in this top 2.
Mm.
I
Vegas,
mean, that
baby,
was his
Vegas.
fault.
I'll tell you why it's not for me. I'll
Yeah,
give
let's
you the
talk about it.
reason why it's not for
Let's
me.
talk about it. Let's talk about it.
We always talk about how comfortable it is in this world, like being with them on a day to day. Like, we're not actors, we're not agents, we're not managers. We don't have the insight that those guys have in that world. It's more enjoyable for me to be in that world versus them taking a trip out of that world and experiencing Vegas. Like, it's cool. I've seen a lot of shows do celebrities in Vegas, and of course, Entourage does it its own special way. It's still outside of the normal everyday world that I'm in love with when I watch this show. So that's the reason that that one doesn't make it for me. Though I do, it is a stellar episode. I love everything with drama and the masseuse. Like, everything is good on the episode. But the one biggest flaw to me about that episode is it's outside of the world. It's not in Hollywood. It's like if you're watching Game of Thrones and they're not in Westeros, or you watching The Wire and they're not in Baltimore. You watching Yellowstone, they're not on the ranch. Like, that's what that episode was like for me.
You know what you just describing? You talking right now just made me think of how much I hated Damon and Harrenhal the entire season 2 of House of the Dragon.
Of House of Dragons.
So I get that.
Not
All right,
in
so
the world.
so here's the thing. It's full transparency. I am biased to Vegas. Vegas is one of my favorite cities in the world. And I know a lot about this episode, and I just thought there's a lot of cool stuff that went into it. So for one, and I'm cool with conceding. I'm cool with conceding because of everything you just said, Spike. Because I typically go away from those. I don't want to say a gimmick episode, and even if you watch the DVD commentary for that Vegas Baby Vegas episode, I forget who it was. One of the producers had went up to Doug Ellen and said pretty much like, "Hey, we're in this storyline of what's going on. Like, Vince just quit. Aquaman 2 just got replaced by Vince. Like, we've been doing these like 4 episodes in a row that have to do with this storyline. Like, let's just have a fun episode." And as fun as it is, because and here was my thing. Here was my reasoning. Here's my counter to you, Spike. When you talk about Entourage and you talk about the show and what it is, when you look at genre, you look at comedy. And I think this is the most fun episode and one of the funniest episodes of Entourage as a whole. We talked about the Seth Green, that whole thing, the whole drama thing. So just to give a little backsight, I'm sorry, let me rewind a little bit. I wanted to start by saying they filmed this over the course of 7 to 8 days in Vegas, which I don't know if anybody's been to Vegas, like out there listening. To put it in contrast, I have a firm 48 to 60 hour rule in Vegas. Like, if I'm in Vegas past 60 hours and something went bad, Vegas is not one of them towns you spend 7, 8 days in. Nigga, you will not make it. It's not, no. You better know somebody that lives in Vegas, like off the strip, and do regular stuff. If you spend 7, 8 days on the strip, that's insane. Now, I did, Jerry Ferrara, who plays Turtle, he did come up about 20 grand when they were filming. Because they were filming on set in real locations. He came up, he said he had about 26,000 the last day they were filming. He lost 6 grand and said, "I'm getting out of here with 20." And I think Kevin Dillon came out pretty good too. Because they both hit the tables a lot. But I love the way, like, the technical shots. I love how they did a lot of like single frame shots. For them to use a real casino with real people, like, these are people gambling. You can't just tell them to move. Like, you have people that are walking in the shots because they see the cameras. Like, probably some shit I do. Like, they filming something. Let me just, what they gonna do? Stop me? They gonna mess up their take? Let me just sneak in the background real quick. Things like that. The Seth Green, the fight, all of that stuff. It was great. It's one of my personal favorite episodes because Vegas is one of my personal favorite cities. I think about the crew just having a good ass time. Like, I think that's every guy's crew. I should do something in Vegas.
Yeah.
Do some kind of debauchery and nonsense. But I am going to concede, Spike. I am going to concede and say, you know what? We can take this down to Exodus and return to Queens Boulevard. I like your take, but I did at least want to explain why Vegas Baby Vegas is so important to me and why I think it's such a great episode.
Nothing that you said there was wrong because I agree with it. And if you're talking about ranking the episodes, then it does definitely rank high. Again, the only reason that I take it out, because if that's going to be the penultimate thing that we put up here for best episode ever, it got to be in that world. And I think Exodus and, Return to Queens Boulevard are perfect examples of that world. Though Vegas is a nice story to tell within the world. It can't be the representation of the world.
Vinny chasing the chasers.
One of the best scenes.
Oh, it's the We Don't Drink Jaeger crew. Hey, Seth Green would have got his ass whipped multiple times in Vegas.
He still would have been wiping himself off the floor with me.
Also, one quick fun fact about that whole storyline with drama. I don't remember this, and I don't think I was watching Entourage in real time in season 3. I know I wasn't. There were some like little quiet rumblings about what's up with Johnny Drama's sexuality.
Really?
Yeah, there were just some things like what's going on, and it was one of those things that came as a surprise. Like nobody really knows where it came from, but those are like kind of not early days of the internet, but the internet wasn't as prevalent as it is today. We weren't even having iPhones, and you weren't connected to your phone in that way. But there were some small rumblings, and they kind of played with that idea with the setup. Remember, Jerry Ferraro told Doug Ellen, like once he read the script, he was like, "Man, I don't know if this drama storyline gonna work. Like, I don't know if this is gonna really be pulled off." And there was a lot of confusion about it. And Doug Ellen thought the opposite. He was looking at it from the fact of Johnny Drama is so straight that he's oblivious to the fact that any of this behavior would even be considered gay.
That's what made it
brilliant.
That's what made that shit brilliant.
Like Johnny Drama's so comfortable with his masculinity and knows that he's not, that telling Ken to move the massage up to his room, like he wouldn't even think about somebody taking that the wrong way, or hey, I'm paying for you the whole day to only touch my it's. I just thought it was brilliant that they played on that, and it showed. It showed like Johnny Drama is that type of dude.
It's so brilliant because it's so like everything that you said with his character and the masculinity, but also it's so obvious as well. This nigga's trying to book me for the whole day. Like, if this shit happened in 2024, a motherfucker would immediately think, "Oh, he's gay." Like, but back when they were doing this in dramas, like you said, that's not even a thought in my mind because I ain't even in that world. Like, it was brilliant. I agree with you there.
Yeah. So and they did. I think they really did it in a way that I don't think it came off like overly offensive. I don't think it came off as homophobic. It was Johnny Drama. Like that's some shit I see Johnny Drama doing. Like damn, like you didn't. And the fact that Ken wasn't, like Ken even said it out his own mouth. Like, listen, I ain't never thought about a dude like that, but the way you've been showing me affection, like, if this is something you need, bro, I got you. Like, shit, you've been holding it down, and I just thought that whole thing's hilarious. But all right, we're down to 2 episodes, y'all. What's up, Chaz? He said, "Fuck it, it is Vegas."
Hey man, so
Johnny came downstairs whooping shit after that.
Yeah, he was hot.
He had a wrecking shit.
He had to do that to keep him whooping Scott.
Hey.
Oh man. Hey, what's up, Chaz?
I don't even know how you would respond to that, bro. I don't know if we talked about that when it happened.
Like a nigga just being in your bed, like you just
like a nigga thinking because you're showing love and you this certain type of way that you're gay. Like what? I
do what Drama did. You just walk out. You don't even say nothing to him. You just walk out.
Hey man.
Oh shit, that's you're right, Rich. That's the same.
Once again, that goes in the bucket of Batman. Can't get that out of me. I ain't telling nobody. I don't even.
Oh my god, yeah, you're right. That wouldn't.
Hey man,
my therapist might not even hear that.
Hey Spike, man, I honestly don't know how you managed to not have that in like with us, man.
Listen, man,
because that shit was just that. So. That is my shit. It's one of my favorite episodes of all time. It probably is top 2 for me. So for all the reasons you said, Rich, and just I can never watch that and not motherfucking damn near be in tears. Like I'm always in tears every time I watch that episode. I watched it when we did season what was that, season 3? I watched it 3 times and was crying at least 2 of the 3 times, laughing at drama.
Yeah, pick up the phone, give her a call.
Yeah. And the Seth Green shit. Yeah, she is hilarious. But I will say this. I kind of feel like I feel what you, Spike. Like the better two episodes to talk about when we're crowning the best episode ever. It is between Exodus and it is between Return to Queens Boulevard.
I got a question for y'all. So these are the top two. This is what we're gonna decide it between. And I really need both of y'all to help me with something. Even though I didn't pick it for season two, I enjoy Exodus. I don't have it as number, like I don't have it two. What are y'all? What is it? Like what is it that I'm missing? Because y'all love this a lot more than I do, and we're usually in sync with these things. And I don't know if it's the chasing Mandy Moore all episode part of it. Maybe I'm focusing too much on that instead of the Ari Terrence storyline and those type of things. What is it? What is it about this episode for the both of you that make you love it so much?
You want to go, or you want me to go?
Okay, I'll go on this one. So what makes me love this the most is because this is the catalyst to everything that goes forward as far as Ari goes and him building his empire.
Mm-hmm.
From that point on, like if this doesn't happen, we don't see that he has that issue. You know what I'm saying? We don't see the him and Adams Davies beef. We never get to slap. You know what I'm saying? Where he slaps him in front of all his people. We don't see him build up the agency. We don't see him partner with Babs. We don't see him potentially bring a NFL team. We don't see the the ups and downs as far as what happens with with Vince and you know what I'm saying, the firing. We don't see any of that without him leaving Terrence. We don't see the budding relationship between E and Sloan. I kind of feel like it's all tied into that. Um and because of that, I think just because it's the catalyst that of a lot of different things, that's why I feel it's up there with one of my favorite episodes. And because I feel like Ari had his little Jerry Maguire moment, and
Yeah, who's coming with me?
if you if you ever seen Jerry, which is that's one of my favorite movies, but yeah, I feel like he had this Jerry Maguire moment. I just for all those reasons, man. I just honestly feel like it's top tier.
And before we move on, I do want to say that you're not alone by that. If you look at viewer rankings, viewer ratings, how they rate these episodes, Exodus is a top 3 episode, top 4 episode. So you're not wrong. You're not wrong about that. Spike, what about you?
I piggyback off a lot of the stuff that Chad said, man. This is the Ari damn near origin story. Like we were introduced to him in one way, working for the biggest agency and being one of the best agents. And then before we finish this, he's getting offers to run the studio. To like my man told him, Terrence told him, are you ready to be God? That happens in this episode of Exodus. But like, I'm bigger than this. I'm the one that's driving this ship. I'm going to go ahead and take the next step. So I thought that was so motivational. And being a big Ari fan, like I said 10 years ago, he would have been my number one character for this show. This is one of the episodes. It's like so it's fulfilling in the sense of if you're an Ari fan, like this is what I came to see. Like I love Vince, I love E, I love Drama, I love Turtle. Like all those people are great people, but this episode right here, as Chad so brilliantly put out, like this builds the foundation for what we know moving forward of Ari's power and how he represents Vince. That's why I thought it was such a powerful episode.
Listen, I appreciate y'all brothers because y'all made me look at it in a different sense. Because I think I get too caught up in the drama and Turtle chasing Mandy Moore, seeing what she's up to, what's going on with her and her ex dude, E trying to distract Vince from all of it. It is the main storyline is Ari and Terrence and the Ari origin story. I like the way that you put that, Chaz. So I respect that, and it does make me appreciate the episode a lot more. I will say this. We talked about if you ask somebody what the genre of the show is, it's obviously comedy. And I talked about how Vegas, Baby Vegas is probably the funniest episode of Entourage, right?
Yeah.
When you talk about the theme of Entourage, the theme, the one thing that you take away from this show, Chaz, what would that be to you? One word. What would be the one word theme that you take away from this show?
I kind of got two, but
What are they? I'm curious.
one is Queens.
Okay.
I feel like this is a story about 4 friends from Queens. One of them really made it, and him bringing up everybody that, you know what I'm saying, that was rocking with him from before. Queens. Like, at the end of, you know what I'm saying, where you hear this, you hear Queens. Every season, there's multiple episodes with them referencing where they're from.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about the neighborhood, talking about that, talking about how they grew up, or talking about, there's multiple episodes. So I say Queens. Another one.
I'm gonna be shocked if you don't say the same thing that I'm thinking of.
What would you be thinking of?
Because go ahead, say it. I'm curious.
I'm gonna say Hollywood. So what were you thinking of?
Brotherhood. Show's about brotherhood, man.
It definitely is. It definitely is.
This show, at the heart, the reason we love it so much, the reason we admire these characters is because we're looking at people that we can easily say, if I was in that position, I would be the same way. Mm-hmm. Right? I don't think there's anybody who can look at Vince and say, man, if I had bread and you really got a crew that you love and appreciate, like, I would treat my crew like that. I would let them live off my celebrity. We all made it. I made it. We all made it. I think that's the way that I look at this show. That's the main theme of Entourage. If there is no brotherhood, as one of the episodes, I think in Exodus, when they were trying to see if E was going to be cheap and buy them watches. Drama said, "What are we if we ain't family? Just 4 twos, just a little bit too old to be living together." Like, they are a family, and they are a family through and through this entire series. And one of the things that brings family the closest is when you really down. It ain't necessarily the high times. It's the time when, man, I'm assed out. Like, the only people I can lean on is my family. Right? The only people I can lean on. We see how season 5 was for Vince. L after L. Even when things looked like they were on the come up, he took another L to the point where he gets fired from Smoke Jumpers. And they end up having Smoke Jumpers would have probably been a good one that I would have spent money on to see at the Vinny Chase Marathon. Even though it didn't
I definitely would have too.
Even though it didn't get completed. But
to bounce off your point, though. To bounce off your point.
Yeah.
Every time that Vince was wrong, like they felt like Vince was wronged in any way, they circled around him. Every time. Mm-hmm. Like if they felt like in the situation where the dude was stealing his lines, what they do? They stole his chair. like you know what I'm saying? They listen, like, you never gonna get off on my boy. It was always that they always put that out there. Like, no, you never gonna get off on my boy.
You're never gonna get off on my boy. And even go back to the whole brotherhood theme. Now, you could argue, to Spike's point earlier, we in the world, but we outside of the world just a tad bit. But I don't count it the same because we are, for the first time in 5 seasons, we're back to where it all started for them. We hear so much about the high school stories and things of that nature. Now we're back in Queens. And one of the other things I'll say about this, I got 2 more things to say about Return to Queens Boulevard. As much as we dislike E and a lot of the bullshit that he pulls, it was a great redemption episode because he literally hunted down Gus Van Sant. Not nobody. Like, I'm gonna wait in this office. I'm gonna sit here because that's how committed I am to my man's to help him get through. Now, even if I cause some of the shit he's going through, I'm gonna make sure I do everything I can to help him get out of it. So if that means I gotta wait in Gus Van Sant's office for 6 hours, to give him this reel that he may or may not, I'm gonna do that. And there's not too many people. Nigga, you can barely find niggas that'll take you to the airport or pick you up from the airport, let alone do some shit like that. This is some overly brotherly shit. And this is something that Doug Ellen said. He said this episode would have had to been scrapped if they couldn't get Marty Scorsese. We need Marty Scorsese is the only, when you have that scene of Ari pulling up, and Vince said, Ari says he's here for a little bit of business. And I got him on the phone, put him through Lloyd, and he hands that phone over. And Vince takes the phone. Remember, if you're watching this for the first time, you have no idea who's going to be the other end of that phone. And I don't know, even right now, if there's a bigger director that could have been on the other end of that phone than Marty Scorsese saying, I want to offer you the lead in my next film. That really turned the Vince. I get goosebumps thinking about it, because it's not just Michael Bay or somebody calling your phone. That wouldn't have been, it had to be somebody like Marty Scorsese. Like, if this was a film of the culture, it would have been like your Spike Lee or John Singleton, something like that. But for Marty to be the one to pull Vince out, like I saw those dailies. I think you're going to be great for Nick Carraway in my next film, Gatsby. Like, that's the ultimate turnaround. Like, you can't tell me nothing. Like, I'm back. And we saw he was back all of season 6. I just think it's the perfect episode that exemplifies what this show is about. Return to Queens Boulevard, I think it was between that and Vegas Baby Vegas. But even when I was watching those two, for a lot of the things Spike said, and also, like I said, yeah, comedy is the genre, but the story is really about brotherhood. And that's what this show really exemplifies. I mean, Vince fired this nigga. Like, we had a lot of ups and downs in one episode. Like, it was just a masterful episode. And I would have to say this is the best episode of Entourage, in my opinion. I love to hear y'all opinions on that and what you think, as I just went on a nice tangent about why I love this episode so much and why I feel it deserves a crown.
When you were asking Chaz that, I was thinking the same thing, but I just was using a different word. I was thinking family, not brotherhood.
Okay.
But I do think everything that you said about the Return to Queens Boulevard was that's the standard for this show, family. And even the reason why I wasn't thinking brotherhood, because like you get the moms and you get they out kicking it and they come home for breakfast and Turtle mom pulling him to the house and Vince mom trying to make sure everything is cool and telling E, well, you said you had this. Like it just exemplifies family and like the expectations that they have of you. And it ain't expectations. It's like, I'm going to be disappointed, but just, I know who you are. I'm going to be there for you regardless of everything that's going on. And my expectation of you is to be the person that I raised you to be. We saw that in the Queens Boulevard episode, and that was so dope. And I think it was different, to your point, Rich, from the Vegas episode. Yes, we were out of the world, but we had heard so much about this place. Like it exemplifies so much where they come from, and for us to go back to where they come from and experience that with the moms, with the people who looked at them, it's like, oh, are we all showing up to the block party just because Vince grew up here and he's a star now, and they looking at Turtle as a star, and like they doing all this shit for drama or whatever it may be. This was the perfect comfort episode for it. I agree with you, Rich. If I'm telling somebody, oh, you only going to watch one episode of Entourage and you want to get the full feeling of what this show is, go to this show. So I agree that this is the best episode of Entourage.
Chaz.
So I'll say this. After the rewatch, when we rewatched season 5, I knew this was going to be the best episode ever. I knew it from that point. And I was hoping that there would be either like a influx of opinions to make me change my mind, because sometimes I feel like, all right, let me see if there's any other way I could see this. But no, both of you guys spoke very eloquently about this. This is the best episode for all the reasons that you mentioned. Each character had his moment in the episode. You see the dynamic between E and Vince, even when it's at its worst, it's like it didn't take long for Vince to be calling them back and stuff like saying, "Hey, bro, hey, just call me, man. I'm trying to reach back out to you. I'm sorry." Da 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 da. You know, you see that, and you, as you said before, Rich, yeah, brotherhood. You seen all the ups and downs, and when he looked around, those were the people around him holding him up and holding him down. So, this was and is the best episode. Um, I was hoping that I was hoping that
A
we
little
would
bit
all
more.
agree. You said what?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I've been back for a little.
My fault. What is that? Oh, Spike over here watching.
I was trying to see what Shannon said.
Yeah, man, with some Shannon Sharp, man. You coming through the feed and shit, man. Well, listen, we about to
My
wrap it up,
bad.
man. You'll see.
It just popped up. My bad.
Shout out to Unc, man. Shout out to Unc. Nah, hey, for real. Shout out to Michelle.
Oh shit! Yeah, shout out to Michelle, man. We all need Michelles in our life, man.
What's
man.
up, man? My fault. What were you saying, Chad?
Oh no, man. I was just saying, man. I'm happy that we all agreed that this is the best episode. And this was a hell of a send off into the next season that would have and should have been the last season of Entourage.
Absolutely.
That if it would have done that, if they would just ended at 6.
Because I really enjoy 6.
Yeah.
I really enjoy season 6. I love
would you have put it as a top 5 show?
Really good.
As a top 5?
I probably could have if it had ended after 6. I probably could have
at 6.
It's definitely in a strong contention because I think my top 4 are pretty much locked up, but it will probably battle.
What's your 4?
Wire, Sopranos, Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones.
Gotcha.
Like I just think that. What's up?
I don't know if I could put in my top 5 definitively.
It's an argument.
Even if it ended,
but it's definitely an argument.
6. Even if
it's
6,
because even right now, the first thing I'm thinking about, the next 3 that I'm thinking about for that 5th spot will probably be Sons of Anarchy, Friday Night Lights, Entourage.
Right.
And I'm trying to think in my head right now, where does it rank between them? Because they're all different. And that's something I really have to think about. But Entourage definitely, I think we all can agree it moves up the ladder if you have 6 seasons and not 8.
I don't want to get us too far off track here, but of those that you had, where is Better Call Saul?
It's top 15.
Oof.
It's probably sooner than that, but I need to do because there's an argument that Better Call Saul is better than Breaking Bad. I'm not saying that's the case. I don't want to start that conversation right now, but there's a solid argument to where, once again, as I said earlier, I'm not calling you crazy if you tell me that. And that sounds insane to say. As good as Breaking Bad was, that sounds insane. But if you're in the Better Call Saul is better camp, I'm not mad at you.
I wouldn't. When that was what I was saying.
To have that debate when the time is right.
We need to have that conversation because when it ended, I was in that camp. I was like, "This is better than Breaking Bad." Like I want
to have that conversation.
So I say all that to say, if I can consider it better than Breaking Bad, how can I not consider it in my top 10? And you know what I mean? It's one of those type of conversations.
That's why I asked. Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good way to look at it. I'm gonna have to see. We're gonna have that conversation. But jumping back to Entourage, sometimes, when I did Martin, it was a little bit more last minute. Even today, I didn't know which episode it would be, but I knew my 2. I knew the 2 I was going to bat for and I was going down fighting for. And Return to Queens Boulevard, when I was watching it today, I just knew it. Like Chaz, you said it, I just knew it. And sometimes you want to have a little bit more conversation, but to quote Patsy from The Sopranos, it won't be cinematic. Not everything's cinematic. Something is just easy. They're just easy to figure out. And I think that we all agreed pretty easily that Return to Queens Boulevard is the best episode of this series.
Yeah. Yep.
And shout out to y'all, man. Shout out to y'all for holding it down with me for the past 10 weeks, 2.5 months, y'all. 2.5 months. We have spent our days and evenings, as I mentioned earlier, watching 96 episodes of Entourage, watching them multiple times, making lists, taking notes, writing down quotes, the whole nine. Couldn't have done this without either one of you brothers. I appreciate y'all. And I think we did such a good job that it's a great time to officially announce that we will make this own series, this own podcast. I'm going to make a feed for best episode ever that will be separate from the Culture Guard feed, because I think this series is that good. And I think it can be that entertaining to where it needs a standalone. As we mentioned earlier, we mentioned Ari and Drama need their own spinoffs. Well, I think best episode ever gets a spinoff. So if you don't already, subscribe to this Culture Garden feed, but also follow us on Instagram, and our email address is also in the episode description. Please be on the lookout for the best episode ever feed, so you can subscribe to that. We will be continuing this series. We've already done Martin, not the three of us, but I've been a part of Martin. I'm going to upload that to the new feed. I'm going to upload Entourage to the new feed. And our next series, I'm not sure when, we'll discuss the release. Our next series, happy to announce, it's going to be an animated series. Going to talk about the best episode of the Boondocks. If you're not familiar with the Boondocks, it's also streaming on Max. One of the best animated series to ever be created. There are a lot of series that Spike, myself, and Chaz have discussed about what should be next. But the cool thing about them not being next is that we know we're going to get to them. We're talking about shows like Sons of Anarchy, Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, The Wire, even Friday Night Lights, Seinfeld, Curb Your Enthusiasm, like Atlanta. Yeah. Mo even hit me up, and him, myself, and Spike do good earnings reviewing The Sopranos right now, about to start up season 6. Mo even hit me up and said, "Hey man, when y'all do best episode ever, it might be y'all three. Like y'all might do y'all own thing separately with The Sopranos, because Mo is such a fan of what we do here, and that's always appreciated." But I think over the past 2.5 months, we really built some chemistry. We have a lot of entertaining conversations, raw conversations, and I enjoy every second of it. And I think it's a good time to kind of enter these worlds and really discuss what the best episode of a series is. I have fun with it. Y'all are having fun with it. We're going to take it from there. So Boondocks is coming next. We will be making announcements on when that will be happening. Please just stay tuned. As far as this feed, the Culture Garden podcast, do not worry. Spike, myself, and Chaz will be back with a bonus episode. We have to do the movie. Can't do the whole Entourage series without capping it off with the movie. So we'll have a Culture Garden formatted episode to discuss the Entourage film. And then from there, we have some cool things coming for you. We're going to be back in our movie bag, myself and Ray P. And we also have a couple guests, man. Some things might be shaking up a little bit as far as, some people took over the studio and wanted to kind of fill in while Rachel and myself were doing other things. So we did have somebody break into the studio and record an episode. It looks like they're just going to decide to put it out on the feed themselves. We'll save that for later, but please be on the lookout. With that being said, Chaz, Spike, any last words as we close out this best episode ever of Entourage? It's crazy to think that we came to an end, but I'm very happy with the decision. I'll let y'all brothers have the floor.
Go ahead, Spike.
Chaz, you got it. Oh, well. I was going to say, I appreciate you having me on this, brother, and I didn't realize how fun this would be until we got into it. And then I started thinking about all of the other shows that we will be able to do on this format, just and talking about them and picking the best episode ever. I think that's an amazing concept. So shout out to you for that. Also, Chaz, man, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure, bro, to meet you, have conversations with you about TV. I look forward to continuing to do so. I look forward to doing the Boondocks next and the things that are going to roll out from this as far as the Boondocks and the other shows that we'll be able to do. I have so many, like The Bear is one of the ones that you haven't mentioned, Rich. Like, I think that would be a really good one as far as best episode ever going through the Bear series.
It's my fault. What's funny about stuff like that? Because somebody I think it was Mo. Mo hit me up about Fresh Prince,
Mm-hmm.
and I was telling him, I said, yeah. I was gonna tell him, I said, here's the thing. We got to, right? Because the whole purpose is it isn't just necessarily crowning the best episode, but it is to give flowers to these shows that we're not discussing episodically, but we still want to give them love, give them their proper respect. The things about shows like The Bear and Fresh Prince is I so very clearly know what the best episodes of those
I
shows
already
are.
know. I
The
know
Bear
right
might
now
be a little
today
different.
for The Bear. No, for me, I know what The Bear's best
Forks.
episode
It's Forks,
is.
right?
Seven Fishes for me. So that may be a conversation.
See? I think Forks is better. Fishes is the most dramatic episode, and it's a classic episode. But Forks is that one.
Forks
and even
is
Napkins.
that one, and I love
Napkins
Forks
from this last
and
season.
See, that's going to be an amazing conversation to have because it's going to take a lot to push me off of Seven Fishes. But I do see what you mean with Forks because when I watched it again, waiting for the next season to come up, Forks was one of those ones where I was like, damn, I didn't realize how good this shit was. And I'm a Richie fan. So with that being said, it excites me about the conversations that we're going to be able to have picking the best episodes of these series and navigating through these series. Friday Night Lights is another one that I'm really excited about and can't wait to rewatch and get into that world. Game of Thrones is another one. And it's not an episodic every episode where it's too heavy where you got to talk about every episode and everything that happened. It's more so of this is the things that I enjoy. These are characters I enjoy. So I've appreciated this conversation. Thank you for having me and for what we're about to turn this into.
No, I appreciate it. And real quick before you go, Chaz, I'm excited about shows that I either haven't watched in a long time or haven't really dove into. Like Spike was just telling me, hey, bro, you need to watch Veep. And that's a show I'm sure we're going to get into and do that. Barry is a show that I really love. That I could see ourselves doing. That's another one where I think I know what the best episode is. The Ronnie and Lily episode. It's one of the best episodes of television I've seen.
Is that the one with the little kid?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't like.
I think we know what.
I was thinking of a couple episodes too. I mean, a couple series too. Shameless. I was also thinking about Eastbound and Down. Have you ever watched that? I know you watched it.
I ain't
Eastbound and Down would be a good one.
I ain't never watched it all the way through.
Yeah,
Eastbound and Down, Boardwalk Empire.
That one as well.
There's all types of shows that we can get into and discuss, and I think it's going to be a great series that we have. But Chaz, go ahead and wrap it up so we can go ahead and take this home. What's your final thoughts on it, brother?
Excellent series. I'm glad that we all came into agreement on it on Return to Queens Boulevard. I can't wait till we start the Boondocks one, even though I already know what's my favorite episode, what's the best episode, and I don't know if y'all gonna be able to change my mind.
I have no idea what mine's gonna be. I have so many episodes of Boondocks that I love. I have no idea what mine's gonna be.
I have 3 that are just there, just
slam dunks,
top 3. Yeah, so I'm excited to delve into it and see what we can come up with. There's a lot of things that we got in the works, so I'm just excited for everything. Also, I'd be remiss if we didn't say anything in the beginning. I want to say RIP to James Earl Jones. Also want to say RIP to Frankie Beverly. We lost 2 legends this week within days of each other. James Earl Jones, his movies, some of his movies shaped my childhood. So I can say that, and Frankie Beverly, I have nothing but great memories of listening to his music. Even from a kid, watching my daddy on the grill, chef it up and stuff. So,
Chaz was driving when their first album dropped.
Damn, I don't think I'm that old.
But now you're absolutely right, man.
Yeah, man.
You're absolutely right. RIP to legends, man. Losing our legends, but thankfully they lived long, fruitful lives. It's a lot worse when you get news like another hip hop Atlanta legend like Rich Homie Quan, who passed away at 34. That's sad, but when you have 77 and 93, it's one of those.
Yeah.
All right, I'm glad
Real
that you
quick.
got to see what you saw. What's up?
Speaking of Rich Homie Quan and how he passed away, I don't necessarily do this, but I think it was just an amazing episode and things that me and Rich also are a part of. If you listen to this and you're not familiar with Another Week in the Books, it's a podcast that Rich and I do about accountability amongst Black men. We've just started the second chapter. I do a lot of podcasts, and Rich can tell you one of the most amazing episodes that I've ever been a part of is when School came on this past week and shared his story. I've been getting so many hits to my phone, just random text messages and DMs about School getting on there and telling his story. Like, please go check that out. Check out Another Week in the Books, the latest episode of it featuring School, aka Isaiah. I'm Isaiah, aka
School. Yeah.
But please go check that out, man. That shit was one of the best things that I've ever done in this space.
No doubt, man. Please check that out. Check the link tree in the episode description if you are listening on podcast form. If you go to the episode description, the link tree will be there. If not, then just go ahead and go to our Instagram page. So if you're watching on YouTube, go to our Instagram page, go to the link tree from the bio at the Culture Garden podcast, and then you'll find all the episodes and all the other things that we're a part of. So yeah, check that out. I'm glad you brought that up, Spike. Chaz, I'm also glad you brought up those legends. One last quick thing, Ballers. That's gonna be another one that I'm gonna look forward to.
I just started watching it
again. Yeah, I
this
like
is my
Ballers.
first time ever watching it. I've never watched it, and I'm on episode 2.
And I would be remiss if I didn't say, I know Spike might forget, but I know Spike was telling me off air a couple of weeks ago his number one show that he can't wait to do is Degrassi. So maybe one day we'll squeeze that in as well.
I don't even know what that is.
That's Drake's. That's the Drake.
That's Wheelchair Jimmy.
Yeah,
I was outside. Like, I was outside in full effect during that time period. I've never seen an episode.
Never sniffed an episode. So once again, to our good brother Mo, people in their early 30s, that's their show. I was outside by the time Degrassi came out. I ain't even know.
By the time that shit came on, that was like Saved by the Bell for their generation, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. That's a good.
I seen Saved by the Bell. And, that was before
even though I wouldn't know. But yeah, brothers, hey, it's been real. I had to throw that at you. Pause. But it's been real, man. I really enjoyed this. I'm really gonna enjoy what we're doing in the future. With everybody out there listening, like I said earlier, we can't do this without y'all, so we appreciate it. Please stay tuned. Please stay subscribed. Follow us. We will be having an announcement. We'll have those feeds up. We'll have a whole new best episode ever coming out. We'll take it from there. We appreciate y'all. Y'all be cool. Y'all be cool. Peace out.
Peace.
Peace.